With 16 penalties and just as many mistakes in the first 40 minutes, today's semi was in total contrast to yesterday's entertaining encounter. Neither side was able to gain the advantage until the 30th minute, when the boot of Gary Bray gave the Lions a 2-0 lead. Centre Michael Reid then salvaged 4 points from the first half wreck, the Sirens stunning spectators and the Scorpions' defence. In a Mike Tyson-Costa Zoo mismatch, underdog Donaldson earned time in the bin, Toronto making the most of his absence, Adam Hall bullocking over. But the Scorpions' joy was short-lived due to an equally determined effort by Englishman Alex Thompson. A blindside snipe from Reid, giving him his second and securing the victory 10 minutes from full time. In other matches, Maitland had an extra time victory in reserves. Cessnock won thirds, while the Knights reserve grade also lost to the Steelers. Meantime, in rugby union, Gordon ran in 6 tries to 1 to beat the Wildfires 47-19. The locals were in touch at half-time, down 15-9. The Highlanders running away with the match in the second term.
On Kooragang Island near Newcastle, police and emergency services were amazed that nobody was killed when a 22-tonne excavator toppled from a truck and crashed onto the opposite side of the road during peak hour traffic. The heavy machine shifted on its trailer as the prime mover was cornering. The weight tipped the truck over as well. The Kenworth truck, worth well over $100,000, was brand new and had just been picked up from the dealer yesterday. Inspectors from the RTA and EPA turned out to the scene. The truck's fuel tanks, containing 1,600 litres of diesel, held tight, but fuel escaped into the drain from the wrecked excavator. And about lunchtime, another lucky escape for the driver of a sedan which rolled on the Newcastle to Sydney freeway west of Toronto. One of the car's back tyres blew out, sending the vehicle into a nature strip. The driver was treated for minor injuries. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
Maitland is one of a number of the state's jails Judge Frank Marks will visit. He's listening to arguments for and against the move to de-staff watchtowers, including officers' concerns about the level of security. As part of a major statewide restructure, 80 inmates will be transferred from Maitland and 43 prison officers will go. While the union and the department have agreed to talks, they've reached a deadlock.
With the electronics and the backup and support systems that we're putting into Maitland Jail, that 43 is the number that we believe we can downsize with safely.
The union says although officers won't be forced out of the region, the proposed number of job losses is still too high.
The issue is still one of safety within the jail for the remainder of the staff that are left there. Like 40 officers out of this jail just because one wing closes, to us is quite an exorbitant figure.
Negotiations continued throughout the day, but by late this afternoon, both sides refused to back down. More talks will take place between the union and the department tomorrow, while Judge Marks inspects Cessnock Jail, also affected by the statewide prison reforms. Melinda Smith, NBN News.
Former POWs joined with friends and family to commemorate an end to the war in the Pacific. In particular, they remembered fellow prisoners of war who didn't return home.
Not those who died in action, in battle and in war, but those who were slaughtered, starved, maimed and ill-treated in prison camps.
Dick Armstrong was just 21 when he was taken captive by the Japanese and held in prison camps in Burma and Malaysia. 50 years on, he still can't forgive them for how they treated Australian troops.
When they acknowledge their wrong and wrongdoing. Then we can look at forgiveness. While they stand up and categorically deny that they have ever done anything wrong, then you don't forgive them. That would be betraying your dead.
Like so many war veterans who turned out today, he too wants an end to the use of nuclear arms. Jane Anderson, NBN News. The sails of the yacht, best by far, were shredded. Its engine too had failed. The disabled boat drifting hopelessly out to sea in strong winds and huge seas. A satellite distress beacon was detected this morning and the Westpac rescue chopper dispatched. The man was winched from the chopper's dinghy and flown to the John Hunter Hospital. The yacht's water tanks had ruptured several days ago. Remarkably, the Sydney skipper survived without water for 2 days. He's being treated for extreme dehydration. The yachtsman still hopes to recover the damaged boat. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
The much-maligned Eels side opened like premiership contenders rather than potential wooden spooners. David Woods creating space out wide for Michael Buettner, who found the flying Lee Odenrine. The Knights' reply came through debutant half Brett Kamali, who ran onto Matthew John's bullet. 6 all, and another newcomer was lucky to stay on the field. John's precision gave Jamie Ainscoe number 13 for the season and the Knights a 12-6 half-time lead. That was extended shortly after the break, Kamali delaying the pass for Ross to cross untouched. An interceptor Buettner placed the home side under pressure in the final 10 minutes, which was relieved by a Johns field goal. A full replay tonight at 10:35. Newcastle also won reserves and the President's Cup.
William Connor has been convicted of cruelty to 39 birds. They were found by National Parks and Wildlife officers in a shed on his Quarraballong property in June last year. As this video taken by the officers shows, the room was without ventilation. The ceiling was fly-blown, while underneath the cages was a thick covering of bird droppings and decaying food. Many of the cages were sitting on top of each other. There were few perches and little water. The court found that although only a few of the birds were ill, the condition of the shed was completely unhygienic and conducive to the spread of disease. Since being seized, the birds have been cared for at Taronga Zoo in Sydney. 4 died there soon after arriving. Magistrate Alan Railton today heard from Robert Roberts, Vice President of the Australian Bird Traders Association. He said he was disgusted when he saw the condition of the shed. However, he believed Mr Connor was an excellent bird breeder with a good record. Magistrate Railton accepted that the offences were totally out of character for Mr Connor. He ordered that the birds be returned to the Quarraballong property within 14 days. Mr Connor must also pay part of the bill for the care and treatment of the birds in Sydney. He has 9 months to pay Taronga Zoo almost $14,000.
It's getting a bit lonely around what had been a happy holiday place for decades for workers from the city and coalfields. A handful of tenants remain, but most of the semi-permanents took their marching orders from the Port Stephens Council, who plan to redevelop the park. About a dozen van owners are challenging the validity of their eviction notices.
I'm concerned about the loss of revenue, the empty sites that are there now, the empty sites that are potentially going to be there at Christmas and the New Year period. That's a loss of $200,000 easily over the past and the next few months. So I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about redevelopment of the park, rezoning, potential rezoning of the park, and a hidden agenda there for housing or some other development on that park. It really worries me.
A development application for tourist cabins and campsites is pending from the Port Stephens Council, but is also subject to an archaeological study of the site called for by the local Warramai Aboriginal Land Council.
There are grave sites on this particular parcel of parkland. There are even convict sites and some Aborigines buried in that area. If they discover bones in any part of that area, there will be a halt to the DA immediately.
By digging in, do you think there is... If you've thought recently that fishing just isn't what it used to be, you're right. According to the experts, there's not enough fish to go around.
We're running very short of seafoods. The seafoods we grow here are second to none, and at the end of the day, these will be more abundant for the people of New South Wales.
The Port Stephens Fisheries Research Station is the cradle of what all involved hope will be a brave and ecologically sustainable new world of fish farming. The clean estuaries and harbours of the mid and north coast could be just the place for large-scale floating fish farms. Tests on snapper and mulloway have been encouraging, with researchers confident that superior plate-sized yields can be achieved within a year. Is this possibly the death knell for traditional fishing methods?
This is not the death knell, this is even enhancing it. And this will be an ability for people in the fishing industry to make more money.
The research station is the leading edge of aquaculture in this state and will hold a public open day next month.
Catches from the wild are declining. The future for seafood production is going to focus more heavily on aquaculture, and here at this research station we're ahead of the country in terms of the research that we're doing.
The Phantom is very much at home in Newcastle's refurbished Civic Theatre. When the musical opens in the city on Tuesday night, it will be the first time the original Ken Hill version has played in Australia. It's already been seen by more than 3 million people in London and New Zealand. Playing the Phantom is Robert Grubb, best known for his role in The Flying Doctors.
There's a hell of a lot of fun in it. Lots and lots of laughs, and I think that less sombre approach to this wonderful old story is it's appreciated by a lot of people.
Haunting the Phantom is the lovely Christine, played by Penelope Brister. 4 years ago, she performed the same role in the Lloyd Webber version in London's West End. She believes this Phantom has something for everyone.
If you like opera, you'll like the music. If you like straight theatre, you'll like the fact that there's dialogue. If you like comedies, it's very, very funny. If you like drama, it's got some very scary bits. It's got a higher body count than the Andrew Lloyd Webber version, so it's quite exciting. I can't imagine anybody really finding that there wasn't anything in it for them. Great.
And helping with the comic side is Noel Ferrier as the theatre manager. Phantom of the Opera will play for 2 weeks in Newcastle.
It was business as usual today at West, despite the turmoil that's set to explode. Concerned West members have called a special meeting to fight a controversial board decision, the first meeting of this type in the club's history.
The whole idea of this meeting is to get West out of their involvement, if it's legally possible, with Super League.
West has taken a 60% shareholding in the Hunter Super League franchise. Some members are angry they weren't asked to vote on the matter in the first place. 3 motions will be put to Sunday's meeting. In effect, they will call for the board to pull out of the Super League, to change rules on election of board members and try and pass a vote of no confidence in the board. West General Manager Bob Ferris says legally the members cannot call for the board to pull out of the Super League.
We have legal advice from 2 well-known QCs that we do not have to accept that motion. However, it was the board's unanimous decision last night that they will accept that motion and proceed with that motion and have the members vote on it.
There are 31,000 members at West. It's expected up to 3,000 could turn out here on Sunday morning at a meeting which may change the club's future. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Either one of those people walking.
It may well prove a decisive day in Super League's campaign to set up in the Hunter. Many of the 4,000 members of the Western Suburbs Leagues Club let officials and directors know yesterday that they should have asked them first. West had been courting the breakaway rugby league competition but hadn't counted on a club backlash.
The people of the Newcastle and the Hunter Valley know they're renowned as being true dyed-in-the-wool rugby league supporters. The Australian Rugby League has been running the game in this country since 1908, and sure, they've made some mistakes along the way, but they've admitted that, and with their expertise in that, they're the only body who should be running rugby league in this country.
I feel that the board will be sympathetic towards everything that the members have said and will act accordingly.
West's General Manager Bob Ferris said club directors still had to discuss the matter and had nothing further to add today. The next meeting of the board will take place in a fortnight, but club members are calling for an urgent meeting of directors to put the issue to rest. Andrew Lobb, NBN News.
John's made a successful return from a 3-week break against the Roosters, but his shoulder was again causing problems just hours after the match. Yesterday he gave himself no chance of playing against the Reds, but today there was some improvement.
60% sure I'll miss out against the Reds. I'm going to have physio all week and I won't write myself off yet, but if it pulls up right, I might play Friday.
If he is ruled out, brother Matthew could well return to halfback, as Brett Kamali also found himself in the wars on Saturday night.
They said I had a torn hamstring and they suspect a broken arm. The arm's been cleared and torn hamstring, which means I could be out for the season.
In the local league, Curry appear to have overcome their injuries from yesterday's 18-10 finals victory over the Marlins. Steve Linnane, Phil Williams and Ewan McGrady will all play against West in this Sunday's grand final, while David Smith remains in extreme doubt.
The elderly couple was travelling west along the Jerry's Plains Road towards Denman just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. It's believed the Daihatsu four-wheel drive veered onto the wrong side of the road and crashed into a tree. The driver, thought to be in his 60s, died instantly. His wife suffered serious head injuries. Both occupants were trapped in the vehicle for more than half an hour as rescue units worked to release them. The elderly woman was treated by paramedics and flown by the rescue helicopter to Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital, where she remains in a serious condition.
Well, since my baby left me, I'll find a new place to dwell. It's down at the end of Walnut Street, a big hotel, and I'm so lonely.
If you've ever believed the rumour that Elvis was still alive, you could have easily been convinced one way or the other at NBN Studios today.
Aubrey, he loves me, he really does. He loves me, he really, really loves me.
Just when we thought the king was resting in peace, Fat Elvis set the record straight.
I've been here trying to perfect my own cabaret show to take back to Las Vegas. Because I believe if you're going to have longevity in show business, you got to have diversification. And I've been working on magic and juggling.
And what's a comeback without serenading the disbelievers?
A big hotel and I'm so lonely. Yeah, I'm so lonely. Yeah, I'm so lonely. Yeah, I'm so lonely. I should have been a newsreader. Yeah, I'm so lonely. I could die. And I did.
The Red Garter lingerie restaurant in Newcastle's West has been fined $5,000 for serving alcohol to intoxicated patrons. Under the Liquor Act, a licensee must not serve alcohol to those already drunk. But many people believe what constitutes intoxication differs from person to person, and as such, it's a difficult law to enforce. However, the Australian Hotels Association supports the police action.
They've been very responsible about it. They've invited us all in for discussions. They've made themselves available. And only in the last 6 weeks we had them here on a Sunday to talk to our staff at one of our staff meetings.
Mike Chapman of Newcastle's Delaney Hotel says there are signs that he and other hotel owners look for, and it's not difficult to judge when someone has had enough to drink.
I look for behaviour patterns. When someone gets aggressive or they bump people or they start to spill and dribble, it's time to talk to them about going. When they're happy and when they're behaving themselves, there's not really a problem.
Reggie Smith threw a scare into the Falcons camp, not training this morning due to a stomach bug. But the giant import will play against the Hobart Devils tomorrow night, as will Grant Kruger, who's been suffering with the flu. The Falcons have 12 wins. They need 2 more to make the playoffs. Hobart is sitting last on the table, the Falcons 6th, but Coach Wiseman says it won't be a pushover.
We don't have 14 wins up yet, and we're going in with that attitude that we have to get every win that we can.
It will be a tougher assignment against South East Melbourne Magic in Melbourne on Saturday night. The Falcons beat the Magic in a thriller at home 2 weeks ago. Playing down there, though, it's been a dry run.
We've gotten them a couple of times up here over the last 3 years now, and I haven't had one down there against them yet, so I'm looking forward to that opportunity.
It's crunch time for the Falcons from here. From the outside, the damage doesn't look too bad, but inside, the Centre for the Raymond Terrace Youth Action Group has been gutted by the fire.
Fire's being treated as suspicious at this stage.
It's thought the centre was broken into, a fire deliberately lit in the back section of the council-owned house. Stunned staff couldn't believe what they saw. It's taken more than 13 years to build the program, working with up to 500 young people each month.
Very heartbreaking, very disappointing with all the effort that's gone in it over the years of work.
Management today confirmed it is working with council to find a new base for the drop-in centre as soon as possible. Peter Ryan, NBN News. No, it's not summer or even spring, it's still winter. Mother Nature is throwing the botanic gardens out of whack. Plants like this grevillea flowering 3 weeks ahead of time.
All the flowers have come out prematurely and so have the visitors too. It's wonderful for the gardens.
Most regions' temperatures were well above the norm today. An unofficial measurement at Bulahdelah had the mercury at 33 degrees. The hot weather is due to a huge stable air mass over southeast Australia. Warm winds travelling across the northwest of the continent, heating things up. The winds have fuelled bushfires near Newcastle, at Cardiff South and Fennell Bay. No houses are being threatened, and fire officers say they have the situation monitored. It's definitely beach weather, with more warm temperatures expected over the weekend. But the winter heatwave has hit farmers hard who are already struggling with the drought. Even on the coast, we've had 34 consecutive days of dry weather. The all-time record is 40 days back in 1970. Peter Ryan, NBN News.
Newcastle will be looking to improve on their 60-9 first-round defeat against Canberra. But whatever happens tomorrow, it's been a memorable debut for the club, with Colts qualifying for the semi-finals against Randwick on Sunday.
We're very happy with the way the season's gone. I mean, naturally we would have liked more wins, but we did achieve our goals of 5 wins in first and reserves, and the Colts have come on, exceptionally well, and they're in the semis, and we think they're a good chance to go all the way.
In netball, Charlestown will take on Sutherland in the State League Division 2 semi-finals in Sydney tomorrow night. The Mavericks must win to stay in the race and qualify for the final. And in lawn bowls, Windale's Bob Fishlock has won the inaugural Lake Macquarie Prestige Singles at Charlestown. In an all-local final, he beat Cahaiba's Stan Laguza 21-16 in the decider.
Well, thanks, Paul. Fine conditions over here in Perth for tonight's big clash between the Newcastle Knights and the Western Reds. The WACA ground itself is very, very hard, and along with the big flight, the ground conditions will certainly test the Newcastle Knights tonight, as they have not been playing well in the last 4 games, only winning 1 game out of their last 4. It was round 2 of the Winfield Cup this year that these two teams met in Newcastle. The Knights resounding victors, 54 points to 14.
He gives it to Brad Gordon. Gordon's going to score the try. They won't catch him from there. He gets around his old mate in Matthew Robles, scores the try.
Plenty of drama over here in Perth during the week with Chairman Laurie Putty resigning. Former Knights player Jeff Doyle doesn't think that will unduly affect the Western Reds' performances tonight.
Plenty of dramas at the club this year. We're used to it by now. Yeah, it's water for ducks back.
And Jeff Doyle, who had a playing stint with Newcastle, is looking forward to playing against some old teammates.
It'd still be 5 or 6 of the old originals running around there. Robbie McCormack, Chief was in the side when I was there. Tony Herman, Brad Godden. There's quite a few old faces that I remember.
But the feeling is through rugby league circles that the Knights should be a little bit too strong for the Western Reds, Paul, and we're looking forward to the match. And don't forget, full replay at 10:30.
Henderson was back at his Lake Macquarie home today trying to keep up with his dog Czar. A week ago he had no problems keeping up with the world's quickest men. In fact, he set the pace, running a mighty bend in starting Australia's 4x100 metres relay team. The Australians finished second behind Canada, rewarded for 3 outstanding performances at the meet.
We ran 38.28 in the heat and smashed the Aussie record. Then we ran 38.17 in the semi, and that was the buzz, because that put us in the 8th fastest of all time ever in the history book. So, and then a silver medal in the final.
Individually, Henderson is now the 17th fastest man in the world, and with his medal a constant reminder of what can be achieved, the Atlanta Olympics can't come soon enough.
You know, I sort of can sniff it, you know, I'm sniffing on sort of, I can feel a big run that's going to come out. Just got to keep chipping away, and my day will come and I'll keep running, and they'll get the biggest shock of their life.